Here we go. We're live. There we go. 5 of us. I feel like this is the start of a 5-a-side football formation.
Could be. I'm up front.
Yeah. It looks like
football formation I've ever been on.
We're going confident because we've basically got no goalie. We're just going 3 strikers, 2 midfielders, no defence, and no goalkeeper. So absolutely love that. Love that. How is everyone? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
All good.
We're all good. Love that. So, yeah, apologies for anyone that was waiting for us. We are 1 minute late, but that is one of those things because everything's a little bit busy at the moment. So, as people start to join in and find the little notification on their Facebook, I've popped it in the comments. If you've got a question, fire it in the comments and we will answer it at any point throughout the chat. We don't mind how rude it is, how direct it is, or what type of subject it's on. We will get Georgina to answer it. So that is no.
Thanks for that.
We did also decide that we were going to go with the black avocado polo look today, which just happened this way. Georgina does have hers, but she had to change because of child reasons. We'll go with that. That's what we'll say. So here we are. Who we got? We got Michael saying, wow, 5 avos. Yes, this is the 5-a-side avocado team. Tristan's checking in as well. So just before I go around the room, check in on everyone. Here's the news update on what's going on in the property market. As of this week, I saw just before we went live a notification come through that the most recent report says housing affordability ratio is now at the lowest it's been since records began. So that basically means the ratio of earnings to purchase a property is as high as it's been, meaning the affordability is as low. And that's going back to 1999, 8.7 times. So there's a little bit of news to throw out there. Platform is the first big lender to pull out of 95% loan to value deals, albeit temporary. Don't think that's a sign of 5% deposit options disappearing. Rightmove released a report this morning that I think we all received, talking about green trends and sustainability and how popular green-friendly properties are becoming. So we'll touch on that later as well. Lloyds Bank have come out today and they've said bank is the biggest bank in the UK. They've said they expect a slowdown in the market. What a very detailed headline from them. And then we've also got Bloomberg Economics. They have said that they expect the Bank of England base rate in the UK to be up at 2.25 by the end of 2023. We don't know if that's going to happen. And the Rightmove House Price Index report came out yesterday. And for the first time, probably in 2 years, there's a couple of areas where asking prices are actually down compared to month on month. And they are in Wales, the southwest of England, the Midlands, and Scotland. And the southeast is level in comparison. But that's purely based on asking prices versus last month. So I don't think it means too much, but there is a little bit of theme of change there. So a little bit of current affairs. Feel like a newsreader doing that. Stuart, can you do that for me next week?
Absolutely not.
No. You got your board there, needs a sold slip. If you were to put a sold slip on it, what is the most common way that you are selling properties at the moment over in Maidenhead, Stuart?
Open house, definitely.
Still working?
It's the only fair way to get everyone in. So launched a few, one yesterday and one today. Already got 10 people booked in on each one for not this weekend, the weekend after. But I'd expect probably have 20, 25 viewings on both by the end of it.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Dan, I know you've got one that's gone bananas as well. So people are talking about the slowdown. Some of the estate agents are struggling a little bit. But if it's done right, it seems to still be pretty hectic, right?
Yeah, if it's done right, you'll be fine. I mean, I've had to take it off the market because it's gone that bananas in the first 24 hours. But I would say one thing on that is still very key is about price on those, because if you do go too heavy or slightly wrong, you're not going to get that level of interest. Because interestingly, we've had one which is a really good price, we feel, but hasn't had the same level of interest as we would have expected it to. It's slightly higher value than the other one that's gone on the market. So it's nearer to 600,000. So not saying the market's bad at all, but you see a slight shift maybe in the buyers who are borrowing more money for their mortgages potentially.
Yeah. I've actually got a seller of mine that I was talking to today, who's out viewing on the weekend, and she will specifically not view with certain agents because she no longer trusts their prices, because she knows she's looking in a really small village, and in the village they chat and they know there's two particular agents which are well known for just overvaluing and then reducing the prices quite drastically over the course of the next few months. So she just won't view with them, actually, because she doesn't trust the valuation price, which is quite interesting. So yeah, maybe that is a sign of things to come. Like Dan says, there is, you've got to get that pricing right, or it potentially won't move. Georgina, I know you've been busy with 3 beds, 4 beds, all sorts of things going on. You've also seen a lot more people changing agents, I believe, talking to you over the last sort of 2 weeks. Is that correct?
Yeah, people who've been locked in for long agreements, unfortunately, and they have to just sort of sit and wait like little sitting ducks almost before they can do what they want to do, which I really disagree with. So yes, there are lots of people out there, if they're not getting it, choosing the right agent at start, then yeah, they're in talks with me now.
Yeah, so contract lengths is probably something to just shout out there to people. I mean, we've spoke about short contract lengths, void contract lengths, long-term contract lengths, but just check in if you're going with the agent that's giving you the highest valuation, make sure they're giving you the lowest contract length to back themselves where they're putting their money, so to speak, so that you don't lose your money. Neil, looking fresh, loving the lamp, got the cap on today. Not sure if is it a bad hair day, or are you just going with the cool look?
It's always a bad hair day for me.
Love that. Yeah, I mean, I'm jealous. Don't get me wrong.
It's my admin afternoon. Relaxing.
How's business?
Yeah, good. Open house scheduled for Saturday for another house that we launched on Saturday. So, like we were touching on there about open houses, they're definitely the one. Stuart hit the nail on the head. It's the only it's the fairest way of getting as many people in as possible, rather than just selling it to the first person, which I know a lot of estate agents around here do. I've had to split that over to Friday evening as well, just because we've got quite a lot of people, which is good. So it's nice having the lighter evenings, although they're starting to get darker. Still got some light evenings to do evening open houses as well. So yeah. All good.
Take advantage of the light, I think, because it makes such a difference when you can view a property in the evening and it's still light. That makes a massive difference. So if anyone is thinking of, when should we make the move? Well, it's a good time to view houses in the sunshine, or at least in the light, rather than in the dark, isn't it? I think that's a good positive reason. We put about the Elizabeth line, obviously coming to Reading, I believe. And has that had any impact with things, Dan? Has anyone mentioned that? Has it brought in any new buyers from different areas? Any thoughts on the impact that may have? Because we had all Crossrail and this, that, and the other, didn't we? Back in 2016, I think the first rumour started for that. But any chatter around that?
To be quite frank, not yet. I haven't come across any yet. But it's the same with all these things. We've got that line. You've got the one near Green Park. All these different lines coming near Reading, all our surrounding areas. They will have a positive impact, no doubt. And I think that's why areas like we're operating in don't seem to have a massive drop-off in price when the market gets more difficult. They certainly hold their value. So for investing or moving, it's always a safe bet. As you mentioned at the start, there's places around the country, isn't there, that start to see maybe a slight drop in asking prices, but it hasn't really happened where we are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we're seeing more price reductions in the market at the moment, and I think probably the public can see that, and that again comes down to being brutally honest with your valuation and not getting caught up in the sales tactics of what sometimes estate agents do. And that's one thing that we've always, put our hand on our sleeve and our hand on our heart and said as a brand, we're always going to be upfront with people and be honest. And if we think it's worth X, we'll say it's X. And if a client wants to try it at Y, we'll either say yes or no. And if someone still wants to do it, then they're welcome to do it with another agent, or we try and reach a sort of common ground and everyone knows where they stand. But that's the difference, I think, is it makes a big difference when you're really honest with people. Stuart, I mentioned in there about the green trend. I don't know if you've read that report yet. It's quite a detailed one, about 6 pages from Rightmove. And it's all about green mortgages, EPC ratings, self-sustainability. And it actually said that as high as 1 in 10 buyers now actively look for green features within property. I have just started to see a few agents start to put things in about things like, you know, cavity wall insulation or loft insulation, not mentioning double glazed, but, you know, one of those things, that type of nature. Just a couple of extra little bits about kind of green features. Is that anything over in Maidenhead that you're having conversations with at the moment? Is there any sellers that have brought that to your attention, or any buyers that say they're looking for something specific?
I'd say at the like I've got one at the moment that's got solar panels on it, and solar panels used to be a negative thing because people were like, God, how are we going to get the paperwork signed off, or is it renting the roof? Whereas now it's been seen as a good thing. I would say with the Green Report, the biggest worry is for landlords getting their EPCs up to the C rating. And I think a lot of landlords are now thinking, shall I sell my converted property that's a D or an E? And shall I buy something that's new build that's a B or a C? But I wouldn't say buyers necessarily are too worried yet. They're just worried about buying a house. And that's it for me at the moment, really.
Yeah, I think first-time buyers want an opportunity to see more property. And I think the rumour is that for landlords, you won't be able to let a property under a C by 2025. And I think there's a lot of landlords out there now that are potentially thinking going from a D to a C could be quite an expensive thing to do. And they might just go, do you know what? We've made 25% in the last 2 years, and now's the time to flog the property. And actually how you do that with tenant in situ or moving tenant out, or what work you need to do to make it look presentable, that's quite a detailed conversation with an estate agent. So if there are any landlords out there that are mulling that over, you know, specifically in the avocado sort of area, it's worth having a chat with us, because we'll pop round. We're happy to book in with a tenant. We're nice, friendly people. We can give you a call, honest valuation, say maybe you need to get a decorator in or change the carpets in the living room, whatever it may be, and give you a bit of a strategy on how we go about marketing with tenant in situ, so you're not losing money on the mortgage. But happy to have that conversation with landlords if you're listening out there, because getting from a D to a C is going to be a big jump on the EPC ratings. Dan, any little secret squirrel instructions that are on the agenda? Anything you can tell us about for the listeners that's popping up? Don't need to give too much away, but
I've got loads of secret squirrels. Well, I'll tell you one that's definitely going on, because it's coming on the market tomorrow. It's in South Reading. It's a 3-bed end terrace at £300,000. It's an absolutely great house. All it needs is carpets and a redeck inside, and it's ready to move into. So that'll be really popular. Yeah. Got a really cool 3-bedroom house as well coming up towards Caversham, which I'm filming tomorrow morning with Lauren Bloomfield. So we're getting those bits ready. That'll be up in a few days. And a pretty special house in Sindlesham, which I think will be coming up in the next 2 weeks. Circa sort of 1.25 million. That's going to be a very special property as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. But there's definitely a few bits happening. Also, just to mention as well, you're talking about the green part. Slightly similar, I suppose. But when I'm going to start doing this shortly, but when listing a home, start putting more information on about the broadband speed and the connectivity, because a lot of buyers are asking me that. We've got that information through Sprift and things. But because more people are working from home, and that seems to be one of the biggest reasons for potentially moving, the broadband speed and so forth in the house is so important. And a lot of the homes where we've got people who are techie and have put extra points in and so forth, they seem to really sell really well. So it's quite a big selling point.
Yeah,
love that.
I think buyers would love to see more of that information. You can look on the floor plan and see it's a 3-bed. You can see it's got a garage if it's next to it. Maybe garage is different, label it, fair enough. But putting those features on for buyers when they're searching, I think will really help with their due diligence. Georgina, you were about to say something.
No, I just was saying love that. I think it's great. Because, yeah, we do put the key facts of buyers reports on, but let's face it, some people don't necessarily click all the way in and see that. So, yeah, putting it in the description. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think those extra little touches makes a massive difference to people's marketing. 100%. Have you got anything, Georgina, on the bubble that we can tell the world about without telling them everything?
Yeah, I've got a couple actually. I've got one in Woodley, which is just being advertised with buyers who are registered with us. Really lovely house, quirky, very close to the precinct. So that one is on at 495. It's a 3-bedroom. And then I've got another one coming up, which is semi-detached 1930s, 4-bedroom. It's been extended, so it's over 3 levels now. Great location, close to early train station off the Wokingham Road. And that one will be coming up in the next week or so. And then there's another really special house coming up, which I'm not going to say anything about because it's too special.
What sort of price range?
You're looking at the sort of 700s.
Oh, Stuart's market. Stuart, what have you got to compete with the 700 grand or anything on the bubble over in Maidenhead? SL6?
I'd have to put a couple of instructions together to get to that price range at the moment. I'm going to see a couple of nice ones next week, but not too sure if they're going to downsize yet. I think a few more people will look to downsize in Maidenhead, starting coming up towards winter now.
Yep.
So, yeah, nothing immediate, but in a few weeks' time, hopefully.
Okay, we will see. You've listed a few this week, actually. I've seen all sorts of stuff getting listed over on your Facebook page. So, yeah, check out Stuart's Facebook page. All sorts of stuff getting listed over there. Neil, obviously you and Dan are a combo, but you do your own individual instructions as well. So anything to talk about on the bubble?
Yeah, always got a couple up my sleeve. Got one that I'm going out to tomorrow that's coming on the market. It's a very popular design of 2-bed in Shinfield Meadows. And Shinfield Meadows is very popular, so I'm sure that one will pop off. I've got a 4-bed in Spencer's Wood that will be coming on the market, about 3 or 4 years old. And then another 4-bed detached in Shinfield that I'm tickling on at the moment. So a couple of the big detached ones, which seem to be our bread and butter at the minute, which is nice.
Good, love that. How is everyone finding the legal transaction at the moment? Because across the country, a bit less stock. People have exchanged completed. I think solicitors and mortgage lenders are dealing with a little bit less than they were at the start of the year. Are we seeing it ease off, or is it still an absolute pain in the donkey's tail? Dan?
It's a nightmare. Yeah, nightmare. I don't think I've got one easy, simple one that's going through. It just seems to be fair, it's nothing to do with buyers or sellers. They're really communicating with us really well. Everyone's doing as much as they can. They've got us on tap 24/7 with our WhatsApp. So I know what people are doing, but what they're all struggling to do is get decent response times from solicitors, get things sent over. I had one where a management pack was sent over 4 weeks ago. And the solicitor lied and said it was only received it yesterday and then raised over inquiries. They just sat on it for 4 weeks and did nothing. And it just seems to be a bit of a challenge. I'm not going out here blaming and berating a load of solicitors, but they seem to be the ones that are causing a bit of a challenge, to be frank. And I think if I could give one message to both buyers and sellers is don't expect it to be 10 weeks and through. At the moment, it's probably more likely to be 16. And that's not due to an estate agent or your seller or your buyer's fault, really. It's just the process is taking that amount of time, no matter how hard or in touch you are with it.
Yeah. That's a shame, isn't it, that we're still in that position. And there's a blog actually on our blog page. It will go out in the monthly newsletter email, which may come out this evening or tomorrow if you're on our email list. If you're not, jump on our email list. We do a newsletter every month. It's normally got 6, 7, 8 blogs in it. We've got property of the month, podcast episode of the month, loads of helpful tips. This month, we've got our property market and economy report for the 6 months gone by and to come. So it's a real detailed one, about 4 pages that where we really get stuck into everything. But one of the blogs on it is a report that's just come out to say in the UK, 34% of house sales that are agreed fall out of bed. And because of the solicitor costs where people are paying up front and searches and surveys and mortgage valuations, the average UK seller in the last 12 months loses just under £2,000 or buyer, seller or buyer, per fall through. And that's
insane, isn't it?
That's crazy when you think about it. 34%, Neil. I mean, losing £2,000 is going to hurt anyone, regardless of how much money you've got or not got. But really, in our industry, over 1 in 3 that gets put together to fall out of bed for whatever reason. I'm not saying solicitors to blame for all of it, because obviously they're not. But there's a lot that we could do as a group, mortgage advisors, solicitors, surveyors, buyers, sellers, estate agents, to try and help that process, don't you think?
Yeah, I know you and I have spoken to a couple of different companies that have different options to try and help, but I think ultimately it just comes down to better communication. The number one thing that I get sellers complaining about is that they can't get a solicitor on the phone, their own solicitor that they're actually paying to do the job. They've got answers, or they've got questions that they want answers to, and they can't actually speak to someone to say, can you break this down into layman's terms for me? They'll get an email an hour later saying X, Y, and Z. So I think it's just communication throughout the board. We'll do everything we can. And I've said this before on one of our chats. I love our process now because we're very hands-on. And I know that Dan and I work in the same way. If something needs to be jumped on, we'll jump straight onto it, and we don't bury our head in the sand. Whereas there's a lot of companies and estate agents out there that have their sort of 7-day turnaround list where they don't talk to you or tell you anything for 7 days. So you're sat there wondering what the hell's going on with your transaction. Something could be going horribly wrong behind the scenes, but you don't really understand that for another 7 days. So yeah, I think being able to communicate with clients 24/7 is really helpful from our side of things. But yeah, it's just better communication throughout the whole of the industry, really.
It is a shame. I mean, Georgina, an example being a sale I've got going through this week, the communication came. It's been agreed for 3 weeks. I sent the memos out 3 weeks ago, obviously to the buyer and the seller's solicitors. Been working on the buyer to get their mortgage valuation booked in, get their searches paid for, make sure all their ID packs are back. And I received an email 3 weeks after I sent the memos from the assistant of the seller's solicitor to say, thanks for sending the emails. We're on it. And it was like 3 weeks down the line, whereas we'd done all this work with the buyer to get them up to speed. And it would appear that 3 weeks later, the seller's solicitors like not even opened the file really at that point. It's a shame, isn't it? But we won't dwell on it, Georgina. It just means we become more valuable because we're almost like the assistants to everything going on. We're kind of the control panel for each transaction. And like Neil says, if we're in communication with everyone, we can keep the plates spinning because we're just one department, us, rather than multiple different people getting involved. I think that's where it helps a lot, wouldn't you say, Georgina?
Yeah, it's crucial because especially like the WhatsApp groups in particular, people are busy in their days at work, or they might have a query, later on in the evening, and if they can't get hold of their solicitor, being able to help them, I'm not going to pretend to be, a legal expert. I'm not, but there's things that I've seen, day in, day out that I can answer for them if the solicitor isn't, available to talk to them. So it is crucial, and communication again is key, and making sure that everybody's aware of it, of what's going on and what they need to do. And I think that is where we're different, in that we do keep on the case. And I think, to put it really bluntly, I think the fact that we're not on a salary makes it all, we are just on it, aren't we? Because we don't get paid until it goes through. So of course we're the people who are most invested in selling the property, other than the sellers and the buyers who want to buy them.
I think I couldn't have said that better myself, Stuart. I don't know about you. It's not figures on the whiteboard. It's not 100 quid in the commission pot at the salary at the end of the month. It's thousands of pounds to us, and hours of our time and our life and our effort. So we're going to do everything to make sure everyone's got the support they need. We genuinely have got our sellers and our buyers' backs, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, I've resorted in the last few weeks to phoning solicitors and introducing myself as a different estate agent just to get the right information, and then reporting back to their clients what they need to do for the chain above us, let alone like ours. So it's just, it it's just that more important to me to get it through and for all of us. So yeah, I'd agree with all that.
The rabbit is out the bag. I repeat, the rabbit is out the hat. Stuart is on the phone pretending to be anyone.
Hey, it was prospects last week.
The solicitor. It's not the Tinder swindler, it's the solicitor swindler. I love it.
Talking about investment, by the way, and in our investment in it, unfortunately, I had to buy a plan of property earlier on. It's one of those things. It does happen occasionally near the end, and I had to tell, obviously, face into it straight away. Let the seller know. She's lovely, and she started crying on the phone, and I started like crying a bit as well, only because like it's emotional, isn't it? Because it's not always just about the money. I feel for the person. I want to help them out. So it is a blooming emotional journey with all the people you work with. So it's been crazy.
100%. I was talking to a client today that's not, their sale hasn't fallen through, but they've had to pull out of their purchase. And I've been working with these guys now since, it must have been about 10 months. You know, they struggled to find, then they found, they lost that one, they found again, we had to change buyer. And then this particular one, sorry, that's a Nerf bullet. This particular one, they've just lost out on that purchase as well. And she actually said to me on the phone, she said, hopefully, Ian, we'll get you your commission one day. And I actually said to her, I said, it's got nothing to do with that. I'm so invested with the family now. I've seen the kids loads of times. I've seen her husband. I've showed them properties. I've been at their property. I spoke to them on my holiday. I've spoke to them on their holiday. I just want to get their family moved, and that's all that's important for me now. Yeah. Andy's asked us a question. I'll come to you on this, Neil. First of all, he's asking us to get off the fence and do some Mystic Mac forecasting. What is everyone's view on mortgage rates? If we're talking to buyers out there at the moment, and buyers are saying, look, Neil, should I fix with the current rates, roll the dice with a variable and hope they go back down? What's the kind of advice you would give a buyer at the moment?
Speak to our mortgage advisor. No, I mean, to be fair, I've never been too clued up on rates and whatnot. I kind of I go with the flow on it. But I think ultimately they're still not as high as they have been in the past. So there's every opportunity for them to still carry on going back up. You don't know. It's always going to be a gamble, isn't it? But I think the tricky thing is knowing how long to fix in for, because if your lifestyle changes within that term that you're fixed in for, are you going to be okay with whether it gets better or worse? Are you going to be okay with being stuck in that fixed term? So I think that's what people need to worry about a bit more, is your lifestyle changes.
Daniel's on LinkedIn. Thanks for joining us, Daniel. Thanks for getting involved. He's answering Andy's question with fix for 5 years. That's his suggestion. I was going to say, personally, I don't think a variable or a tracker deal is the right thing to do in my perspective. I think we will potentially see the base rate go up again. Like I said on the sort of the bulletins at the start, Bloomberg, they believe it will be up to 2.25 by the time we go into 2023. If you're on a fixed, if you're on a tracker, obviously that's a fair chunk more to pay. Personally, if it was one of my friends, I probably wouldn't advise them fixed for 5 years. I would say 2 or 3, because I do think we will see rates come back and level out more around the mid 2s rather than the sort of mid 3s in 2 or 3 years. I believe that's what will happen. But the safe bet is, if you fix for 5 years, you know what you're going to pay for 5 years. And if you buy in 6 months' time, will interest rates be higher than they are now? We don't know, but maybe. So
I'm buying right now, and I'm fixing for 2 years.
Okay,
that's what I'm doing. That's the advice I give to people personally: fix for 2 years and get the best rate you can now, because I don't think it's going to be any worse in 2 years' time. So it's either going to be the same, gives you an option to change or buy another house, whatever you want to do, or get a better rate. So 5 years is a long time, unless you know you're going to be somewhere for the next 15 years, which I don't think many people do.
Yeah. I think we'll see an up and then a back down. I just don't know whether that's over 2 or 3 years. I don't think it's as long as 5, but you don't know. Stuart, you're a man who knows his mortgage numbers. I've spoke to you about this in the past. You talked to Tony Mullen quite a lot mortgage broker. What's the advice you're getting from him in your combos?
Well, I've just fixed today for a 3-year.
Oh, there you go.
I think they'll go up and then a bit like you guys come back. Interestingly, I found out a couple of days ago that if you've got a mortgage offer out with HSBC and it's about to expire, if you if you change the price that you're asking for on the mortgage, they'll give you a brand new 6-month offer. And obviously that's great for the people who've got mortgage offers from March because they're on super low rates. So if you're with HSBC, definitely speak to your mortgage broker if your deal's about to expire. Don't just go and sign into a new mortgage rate. It's not something HSB advise like willingly, but
that's great advice, by the way. Explain it. Let's just bring that back to simple layman's terms. If you've got a fixed deal with HSBC,
yeah,
and you need to extend that rate, a refix on the price, be it 500 quid up or down, will give you an extension to get that through. So if your seller's not found or your mortgage is about to expire and the person you're buying from up the top of the chain is just blown out and you're about to lose that amazing rate that you got 5 months ago, just tweak the asking price slightly, give the seller another £1,000, redo memos and redo offer letter, and that offer will be extended for another 3 or 6 months potentially, Stuart. Is that right?
6 months, yeah. 6 months. And it looks like it's only HSBC that do it. But
what's the guy that goes on telly and gives everyone the mortgage, the money tips? Martin
Lewis.
Yeah, who is he?
Martin Lewis. Yeah, Stuart Bock. Get him on Twitter.
Get me on there, mate.
Get him on Twitter. Get him on TikTok. Daniel's come back. Daniel that's watching on LinkedIn. Love this because it's great. This is about opinions. We don't know what's going to happen. He's hoping we're right. He's a little bit worried that obviously all the different inflation and inflammatory pressures will cause the Bank of England rates to potentially go up over a longer period than 2 to 3 years. I think we will see them go up over the course of this year, but I don't think they'll keep going up, especially if there's all sorts of recession chat towards next year as well. But we will see. We don't know. That's the beauty. We record this, we download it. If we're right, we'll replay it in 2 years. If we're wrong, we'll delete it. That's how we go.
And so we were right.
I've got a lot deleted and a lot saved. Georgina, quick tip, seller or buyer before we wrap up today? Any tips that you would give to a seller or buyer? Quote, pearl of wisdom, anything like what Stuart's just thrown in that you can share with us?
Yeah, I've had a funny one recently where a mortgage valuation was taking place at the house, and the seller was there, but she was preoccupied with work and her dog and various other things. So when she asked the sale price, she completely forgot what we'd agreed, and actually it was 11 grand less what she told the mortgage valuer, and it's actually it's now technically like a down valuation of that amount, because the person asked the seller what it was, and didn't actually look at the paperwork. So the buyers are now having to fight it out, or they're putting in the extra 11 grand, which they're prepared to do. It's just they don't want to. They want to have that 11 grand rather than, having to put down that bit more. So, yeah, if you're selling, know what you sold for when the mortgage valuation takes place. There you go. That's my little tip. You'd think it'd be really obvious, but yeah, we all get busy, don't we?
Scary stuff. Well, good tip though from both of you there. One thing that I do want to mention just before I forget is on Sunday, it is one of the biggest days of the year. There's 2 massive events going on Sunday. England versus Germany.
Woo!
Go on, the girls. Go on, the girls.
We're going to smash it.
As a dad with 2 daughters, I am looking forward to watching that one on Sunday afternoon, 5 o'clock.
I will be wearing man with no daughters. I'm also looking forward to watching
it. England, Sweden was not a bad watch, but anyway, it's going to be a good game. And I think the other big day that everyone needs to be aware of is National Avocado Day on Sunday. So there we go. Neil's got his. There's a competition on the brand page. So if you're not following Avocado Property, go on the brand page. You can win a real cool sweetie giveaway. It's got loads of sweets, chocolates, bottle of Prosecco in there as well. So throw that on the mix. But I just thought I'd say go on the girls and check out that competition. I'm sure some of the other partners will be doing their own avocado competitions as well. Neil, going to come to you. Any pearls of wisdom or advice? And I'll just read this this post here from Daniel just before you, as you're answering.
No, I did have another question from someone on Instagram earlier, which I'll throw out in a second as well, just to get your opinion on it, because I told him I would. But word of advice, I've had a couple of people not mess around, but it's a very competitive market out there. And I've had a few people that have been offering on multiple properties at the same time, or they're just non-committal when they offer. They kind of get excited by the idea and sort of sucked into the idea of making an offer, which is all well and good, but be prepared, because obviously if we come back to you and the offer is of interest, be prepared, ready to go. Because I've had a couple of people sort of, I did say not mess us around, but yeah, messed us around and just turned around and said, well, we've changed our mind, or we want to go with this house because of X, Y, and Z. So don't toy with people's emotions, because it really upsets people, my sellers, myself, everyone involved. So be prepared for what you're doing.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Right, I've read Daniel's LinkedIn post here. He's talking about obviously prices going up, rental values. In summary, the question is, what do we think is going to happen with rental prices? And I think the surge has started. I think the sales surge, obviously with the stamp duty, happened, and then rentals, they crept up, and now they're going to rocket. And actually, I think the 20 CI report recently said that UK average has seen a 15% hike in rental prices year on year. And I think the London average rental price is something like £2,228 a month at the moment as an average to rent in London, which has also surged back up. The advice I give to anyone, and I'm throwing it in the comments, is to check out the Landlord Page podcast, because we are talking in detail about that. And tomorrow's episode is with Matt Barrell, the Reading agent, aka Mr. Reading, and he is talking about why Reading might be the golden nugget town to invest in over the coming year or two. So that is a really interesting podcast. Definitely check it out. Put the link in there. Sanjay has got a question, which I'm going to say is for you, Dan. What does the British estate agent care most about?
Well, for me personally, I don't know if I can talk about all estate agents. Honestly, it's genuinely about helping the people move and the families and getting to know them. We are so invested in the people we work with, and it is quite emotional that you just want to see them happy at the end of it and feeling happy it's all done and gone through. Like the one I had one it complete today, and actually put a little post on our Instagram about it. She was just like, she loved it. She bought me a bottle of Kraken. I was well happy. But
what?
Bottle of Kraken rum.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the best thing for me. That is what I care about more than anything else.
I thought you said a bottle and a cracker as well. I don't know.
No, I thought
Kraken rum. For those of you
I don't know why someone wants crackers, but it's all good. Sanjay, from my point of view, what does it mean to me? We want to change the industry. Estate agency is not the most respected industry in the UK. We know that because every time they send those bloody 1 to 10 tables out of who is the most disliked people, we always sit somewhere around third or fourth. It shouldn't be that way. Estate agents have got so much knowledge, so much central involvement in every transaction that we should be VIPs in the transaction process, and the industry is the opposite. So we want to change that industry and make it a really cool place for people to get involved with and feel happy about using their estate agent. That is the ultimate goal for Avocado. That's what we'll try and do. Anyone else got anything they want to throw in the pot before we call it a wrap and go and get some tea?
I do. I was just cracking up there because I don't think you realised Sanjay's joke.
No, I don't.
What was it?
read his question and then read his answer.
Oh, this is a joke. He's not asking.
Ian didn't see
He got you good.
It's
He
on
got
comment.
you really good.
Oh, here we go. Because then I posted, and there's a load on our timeline of the.
I see it now.
Property.
It's
I
gold.
love that. I love that.
It's gold. But he's got to type faster because that's caught me right. I wonder what had happened, Neil.
I was just sat there crying. I had a question earlier, and we touched on the Reading market and the podcasts, which are in the links now, which is awesome. And I had a message on our Instagram earlier, just with a question, which rolls quite nicely into it. And I know my opinion on it, which is quite easy. Are you guys seeing more people purchasing residential properties or investment properties? I know the answer to that, in my opinion, but it was a question that was thrown out there. So I don't know what you're seeing as an influx or a rise in the latter.
Do you mean overall, or do you mean percentage changes? Because there will always be more residential than investment, but are we seeing Are
you seeing anything change is, I think, what they were getting at, Jamie.
Stuart, what about you in Maidenhead? Any changes?
No.
Still
Georgina?
No, it's pretty much all families. So yeah, it's not so much investment for me.
Dan?
Yeah, I say the same, but I have spoken to more investment purchasers who are on the lookout. So I won't see them buying yet because they're still looking for the deal, and the house prices, you're still getting people offer over. So they're not going to go for those and get in a crazy bidding war. But there are more people out there looking for investment properties. So I think it may change.
Yeah, I had one out the other day, which came out of the woodwork, really, because I've not seen an investor buyer for a while. Because as Dan said, they don't want to get into the bidding wars or the open houses or anything like that. So definitely looking for a deal.
Dan's jumped in and he said, do we mean owner occupied versus investors? I think that's exactly what we mean. I think when I looked recently, something like registrations were showing 1 in 11 buyers that register are looking for a buy-to-let or for an investment property. I believe when we look at the data in this area, it's about 2 to 1. 2 investment or landlords are selling per 1 that's buying. So the actual portfolio list across the UK, the opportunity to rent in the private sector is reducing. There are more developers that seem to be doing build to rents. So I think there are more opportunities to rent being made up in that way. But I'm exactly the same as what Dan just said. I think a lot of investors got frustrated with the speed of the market and they wanted to buy, but the move speed of the good deals are going so fast that they got frustrated with it. And I think if things just slow down a little bit, I think investors will be worth their weight in gold in the property market. And I think they'll be in there ready to pounce when things are a little bit more at their pace. So that would be my view on it, I think. Will's joined us at 6:40 and said, hello, good evening. Good evening, Will. Good to see you, bud. Working hard. Those guys are flying in Crowthorne at the moment. Geez, they're doing some figures. So that is a wrap for another Thursday evening. It is good to see you all. 5 is a beautiful number, by the way. The formation of the screen is really nice.
Feels good.
Looks good with the logo, with the brand. Thanks for all the questions. Thanks, Daniel, for throwing some comments in. Sanjay, for your joke that I thought was a serious question and rolled with. It made a really good section of the chat, so appreciate that. Lee, Mark, Tristan, Mike, and Will, thank you for saying hello, and thanks to everyone that's liked the post. If you're watching and we're not live, still throw the questions in and we will answer them. We will see you all soon.
Peace and love.
Bye.